Hello everyone, I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for joining us and a happy Friday's wish to each and every one of you. Much has been taking place across the business arena in the British Virgin Islands, and the BVI Chamber of Commerce, of course, continues to be the voice of reason for businesses in the territory. Joining me today is Chairman of the BVI Chamber of Commerce, the lovely Mrs. Shana Smith-Archer, to speak on a number of happenings. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
Start the year off with more. More speed, more downloading, more savings, and more Fire. CCT Fire Fiber Internet gives you the speed you need to keep the whole family connected. Packages starting at $119 with speeds from 300 megabytes per second. Super fast, unlimited downloads, even more reliable connectivity, plus free live streaming TV for the family to enjoy. Sign up for the absolute best fiber internet service in the BVI CCT Fire and pay no installation fee. Plus, get CCT Live TV for free. You deserve more. Get more with CCT. Life Unlimited.
He hit me. Will CG cover this?
Don't worry. Remember when I was in that competitive arm wrestling circuit? Three-time champion, baby. I did feel bad crushing all those arms and dreams. So I took them all out for ice cream. And then we got crushed. Anyway, CG handled my claims fast.
That explains the arm.
The best cover for the best value. CG Insurance. Good like that.
Welcome back everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us. As promised, today we're talking all things BVI Chamber of Commerce. Chairman Smith-Archer, thank you for your time and welcome back to the platform.
Thank you for having me.
As I mentioned earlier, quite a bit has been going on the business front within the territory of the Virgin Islands. Some positives and some stuff, of course, definitely that we need to work on. From your vantage point, what is the present tone of businesses in the territory?
Well, Ron, there's been a lot of talk lately about, what is the state of affairs when it comes to the economy. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things for us. We're actually trying to work on figuring out how can we get an economic review in terms of getting the data. Because one of the challenges we have is that we can't manage what we don't measure. So as businesses in various industries, you'll hear persons saying, things are doing well, let's say maybe in the charter yacht industry, versus maybe the retail sector is still seeing slow growth coming out of a recovery. Because, I always remind everyone, we are still only 5 years out from our hurricane recovery. In the middle of that, we were hit with the pandemic that basically shut down the economy, So all of those ripple effects, as it were, are still being felt by businesses. And, the fact that programs like, say, what we advocate for in terms of unemployment benefits or even economic relief for businesses are things that are needed to help businesses get back up after these types of disruptions, as they were, to be able to come back stronger, faster. Of course. So a lot of businesses would have gone into their savings to build back after the hurricane. And then you come to the pandemic. So at that point, it has been a struggle. That's the sentiment that we hear across the board. And, sometimes when persons tell me, things are looking good, I always ask, well, what industry? Because just to generalize about the economy, and again, we don't have the data yet. Understood. So we want to really start to get...
Not a fair observation.
Exactly. So we really want to start to get that, and we're hoping even with the statistics that the Ministry of Finance would be receiving from CSO, that they would start to produce quarterly reports, right? So that we can really get a accurate picture. Because it's one thing, again, if we talk to individual businesses, depending on their industries, they will say, yes, things are good, or yes, they're picking up. But it's also important for us to have the data to do the analysis to be able to come to some conclusions, because then we can say, okay, we need to probably put some incentives towards a particular industry. And, one of the other things that we want to see happening in the second half of the year is started discussions about, what are those emerging industries? In the past, we've heard about agriculture and the blue economy. So, but we are yet to see sort of an implementation plan, as it were. So if I want to get into, let's say, agriculture, what are the incentives that government is willing to provide? Would we get, let's say, payroll tax exemption for your first 2 years? as a way of allowing you to reinvest that money back into your business, training and all these different types of things. So, the economy, I think, is doing pretty well. And, I just want to touch on a statement I heard by the Premier and Minister of Finance the other day, when he said that the public sector needs to start to drive the economy, and I paused for a second because...
The public sector or the private sector?
The private sector. And it's something where the economy, again, is a two-sided coin. Public sector on one side, private sector on one side. So it truly has to be a partnership.
Agreed.
So again, when we hear public-private partnership, we tend to think of agreements, but it's really, this is what it looks like, on a day-to-day. The public sector regulates business, so they provide the rules of the road, so to speak. But 2/3 of the economy in terms of spending is currently being done by the private sector when you compare it to the government's overall budget. And I think one of the things we can probably take away from his comment is that the private sector does need to see themselves as the drivers of the economy and not the government, as it relates to probably taking initiative and pushing for certain policies or, more efficiency in the public service and those types of things. Because if we take up our role as a business leadership now, then, definitely the economy will start to move and basically, make some good things happen, because this is where people get their goods, their services, their jobs to take care of their families. We pay taxes, which goes into the public services. So that's the partnership I'm talking about. That's what that is. And again, community service. I know persons may think or sometimes say businesses don't give enough. But, I challenge them to try to do any kind of event for a whole year and not go to a business to get money. Yes, because again, I think many of them are doing more than their fair share, because they're citizens. They have private, they live here, as well as work here. So for those that are in a position to, I believe, we've always seen some consistency around many of them where they would choose a cause and say that, this is what we want to support. Because, for example, BDO and the Youth Soccer League, that's no simple task, and it's not cheap. So those are the things where, again, we have to really start to appreciate the role of business and business owners, as well as the role of government. And again, if everybody takes up their role, we'll have a strong, resilient economy that's ready to go forward.
Understood. And speaking of that, I want to touch a little bit about the urgent need for a proper policy implementation. What are your thoughts on that regard?
So policy helps to set direction, and again, in business, we set direction within our businesses. So within an economy, it's important for government to let us know, this is the direction that we're going in. So as far as I'm aware, we don't have adopted economic policy. I think one has been drafted in the past, but I think this is something, again, that's needed to help say, over the next 5 years, this is the goals that we want in terms of growth. Okay. So even if it's just, 1.5% a year, again, we can measure this and know whether or not we're on target. What, again, are the things that we need to put in place to support businesses? So from our view as a business support organization, we know, again, persons may need training as it relates to marketing, financial management. How do I scale my business and be able to hire employees? Those are the things now that we are looking at, saying that for the young and emerging entrepreneurs, that we're there to be that level of resource for them. And hopefully Trade Department now, they have a plan to put certain things in place as well that further helps the cause.
Understood. Now, on the chamber front, there has been quite a bit going on. You recently held an activity with some young people. Tell us about that.
Yes, I want to say a heartfelt thank you. We had Business After Hours. So this is one of our activities. Again, it offers an opportunity for members or non-members to host basically a networking cocktails. So what we did to kick off the series this year is at least once a quarter, we're going to hold one. And this month, we decided to focus on our youth entrepreneurs, so the 18 to 35 category. And again, for them to come in, network amongst themselves, because there's so many times, when we see these events, I didn't know you did this, I didn't know you did that, and you've been doing it for how long? So small businesses, one of the biggest budget items they have is advertising. So this is almost like it's free advertising. Okay. So we had we had a good turnout because last week the registration was a little slow, and I said to them, I said, I really appreciate you guys because obviously you started over the weekend and you registered to thing. But you know, we had everybody there from persons doing food services, decor, bar and restaurant. I mean, you name it. You know, and these are the future business leaders now.
Absolutely.
So that for me was really also exciting because you can see where some of them are still working full time because again they haven't scaled the business as yet. But that again is what the chamber is there for, to help you to sit down now and come up with your business plan that says in 5 years time I want to be able, my business needs to be able to pay me. You know, and they can give it the full focus because until you actually give that full-time focus to it, you know, oftentimes the business does not grow at the rate that you would probably like to see it at, but it is part of it. So we'll be having one a quarter. So again, we just had the one this week. And then in the following months, we'll have another one. So encouraging persons. So it's open to anybody. Again, it's not just for chamber members, but any business person that wants to come in. Again, you share about your business, I share about mine, exchange contact details, because business is about relationship. So it's important for us to create, you know, the opportunities for that to be done.
Most definitely. And additionally, CARICHAM, there is a virtual trade mission.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. I want to encourage persons, definitely they need to sign up for this. It's virtual, again, because we're still, you know, it's very expensive to travel. So what they're doing is through Zoom, they're going to have essentially a platform where, again, you're able to come, pitch your products or services that you do across the Caribbean. So CARICHAM, for those who may not have heard about it before, is the Caribbean Chambers of Commerce, and our membership spans from the Bahamas to Belize. Okay. So right now we have, I think, about 10 countries that have signed up businesses, including ourselves. So again, I want to thank those that have signed up for it. So far, we have about, I think, 11 businesses that are going to participate in that, and we're going to send them more information. So if persons view this probably within the next few days, feel free to go to our website, www.bvichamber.org, and go to the events list, and you will see all the information there, and they just register, and then we'll be able to follow up with them now with additional information. But again, these are opportunities now where, again, our economy is only so small and can sustain so much. So I always encourage, even if you not think you already know, to think about market expansion and to take advantage of opportunities like this to go out and see what's out there regionally. You know, you might even learn some things in terms of, okay, so if this is the competition, when I do decide to expand into other markets, you know what the standard is that's already established. So that's also there.
And speaking of trademark, the BVI Trade Expo is May 17 to the 18th, a trademark event for the Chamber.
Yes.
What can the people expect?
Yes. This is one of our signature events, and we were able to bring it back last year after 6 years in hiatus. Again, the hurricane affected us too. So we were really excited to have it. So it's back now where it's normally going to be, because some persons were thinking it was going to be late in the year, but we usually have this just before summer. So May 17th and 18th, we're going to be at the Multipurpose Sports Complex. We still have a few slots left. So again, if persons want to register or they have questions, visit the website. All information is there in terms of the booth costs. Okay. As well as if they're interested in sponsoring, all the information is there. And if they have a question, they can call the office, 345-3513, and speak to Miss Mercer. She's our events coordinator. And again, shout out to Miss Mercer, because we couldn't do a lot of this without her. So, you know, I'm really happy that we have a team that's, you know, the marketing, getting the word out, making sure persons are aware of what's available to them, because they can't access these things unless they know. And that was one of the feedback we got last year, is like, we didn't know about the Trade Expo. We had persons walking in the day of setup asking if they could register. Wow. So again, I hope those persons are already registered. But yeah, it's one of those things. So we made sure, you know, we started the advertising for it early, so that persons, again, in your business, you have time to prepare. We have actually competitions, again, to help persons kind of level up. Mm-hmm. So we have best biz pitch, so they have to be able to pitch their business to a panel of judges, as well as most creative booth.
Beautiful.
All right, and then there's people's choice. So again, we're inviting the public in to visit all the booths and then vote on, which booth basically impressed them the most.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations, of course, to the Chamber for continuing, as you said, the signature event that gives businesses an opportunity. And speaking of another trademark, the BVI Chamber is supporting Hire BVI in their annual Career Expo. Tell us about that.
So again, sort of leaning towards the conversation we had with the Business After Hours, I was thinking on what would be our theme? How would we approach this? Because it's a career expo, right? Not a business expo. And I said, you know what? We need to start to speak more about entrepreneurship as a career. Because it is something just like any other career, you have to prepare yourself for. Because if you decide you want to do a particular thing, you go to school or you take courses, whatever it may be. So that's the focus that we're going to be doing. So again, whether it's persons who are already entrepreneurs, persons part-time entrepreneurs, this might be somebody's retirement plan. Yeah. You decide now you're ready to retire from full-time employment. You wanna know what's next. So no reason for you to pack it up if you have a skill set to offer still. So that's where we're gonna be participating. And Hire BVI is a member, so we definitely are happy to support that.
Wonderful. And finally, the CIF is taking place in July of this year. Tell us about that.
So I went on a recon mission last year, Ron.
Okay.
This was in the Bahamas. So the Caribbean Investment Forum, it's actually in its third year. And it's going to be in Guyana in July. Again, all information for this is on our website, on our events calendar. But what I really found very impressive from doing the event last year, so I just basically attended, as a participant. And it was very interesting to see in terms of, again, small businesses pitching to investors. In terms of, whether they've already in business, so they're looking for investment to start up. So it was almost like the Caribbean version of Shark Tank.
Gotcha.
And there was a big biz pitch competition that was also a part of that. But, there's a lot going on regionally. So it opened my eyes to, again, where are we in our economy in that race, so to speak, where we have to really now start to make very intentional efforts to do the right thing. So whether it's the National Business Bureau, whether it's on an annual basis, the budget has, I would say, at least $250,000 that goes towards grants and small business loans, because that's the only way to do it, Ron.
Well, that's a conversation that has been taking place in the House of Assembly, and of course with the hope of the possibility of reinstating the National Business Bureau, but the funding has to be adequate enough for it to make an impact.
We have to put our money where our mouth is. We can't talk about these things and then fall short, because that is the only way to get it done. So, when I think it was last year, we hosted the St. Lucia Export Authority. They actually came out on behalf of their small businesses, right? So, I mean, they literally had a suitcase of a bunch of products, and some of them included things like cocoa. And this was being grown by a cooperative of women. So obviously they don't have the resources to go around the region selling their products, but they created the Export Authority with the sole purpose of market expansion. So when I interviewed the minister, because again, their minister came with them, the St. Lucian Minister of Commerce, and asked her, Minister, how did you guys focus? How did you do economic development, basically, right? And she was saying to me, within her ministry, she has a small business unit, and all those things we talked about in terms of money, the programs, benefits, because it puts a strain. If you have an employee, even outside of disaster situations, right? If I'm in between jobs, having something to help tide me over, even if it's 2/3 of your income coming out of Social Security that we're all paying into, I think that's a small ask. However we want to structure it, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to put in more money, because I know that's one of the perceptions that's out there, and I don't think it necessarily is true. Because again, the size of the fund currently, if we decide we take the current contributions, right, at least in the first instance, and earmark part of it now to go towards this benefit within Social Security scheme. So we're not going to create anything new. That is a way to start, but it is to have a complete ecosystem, as it were, where again, the private sector, we're doing all things as an MPO, the government would do, but the money has to be there. If it's not there, annually, we can't do these one-off. That's the other thing that, it annoys me personally, where we think we're doing something, if we have something, big event, looks successful, but then next year and the year after, and you're having persons wanting to become entrepreneurs. So you helped one cohort, but we have to continue to put systems in place that are sustainable.
Wonderful. Now, I have to close in regards to just reinstating and sharing with persons what the Chamber is, its benefits, and how they can become a new member or renew their membership.
Okay, so again, any business based in the BVI is able to become a member of the Chamber. So it's not, an industry organization. We're kind of the umbrella.
Gotcha.
So the other associations or organizations there are allied members of us. So they're part of the overall group. So they can reach out again through the website. We have the application now is online. We've been leveraging a lot of technology, and our website is really awesome too because it actually doubles as a member information center. So you can actually log in. So one of the benefits now is that you have access to advertising events in your business, doing press releases. What else we have? Hot deals. So if you have something coming up, let's say for Mother's Day, and you want to promote it, you're able to go into the member information center and not only promote it to Chamber members, but it actually shows up on our website. So there's an area on our website called What's New. So that would be where, again, you can go in there once a week and see what's happening with the Chamber membership. It starts at $125 for a single employee, so that's like a micro business, and it's annual.
Correct.
And then it goes up from there. So, other services we provide would be, we have a print center. So again, these are all ways for us to try to defray your business costs.
And assist the businesses.
Yeah, and putting those things out there. We also have a meeting room that they can come in and use, for a small fee. And we hope to, I'm revamping essentially our training program right now.
Okay.
So it's something where we're looking at what's going to be called a business boot camp. Because again, we know how busy we are, and especially if you are also a full-time employee, time is even more scarce. So we want to be able to do, more course-like training. You come in for 3 sessions. We cover a few ground. When you sign up as a new member, also one of the things we're offering is business coaching. So we do that as a group session. We've been getting really good feedback from it in terms of they're asking when it's part 2. So I say to them, well, part 2 is you having your one-on-one coaching session, because again, one of the things we have to start to practice more is coaching and mentoring, because that's also one of the things that has to be part of economic development. I teach you what I know, I expect you now to go forward and teach somebody else.
Pass it on.
Yep.
Most importantly, well, I want to thank you so much, and of course commend the Chamber on the number of happenings that you guys are continuing to do and really charting the way forward and keeping us encouraged on the business front, of course. Tough times don't last,
no.
But we definitely...
But that's business, Ron.
Yes, that's a part of it.
Yeah, and I think, too, is also to remind us that, I say it all the time, business is in our DNA. We come from people where they didn't think of themselves as entrepreneur.
But they definitely
But that is what they did. So it's within us to always feel like, we can go out into uncharted territory and to do great things. So for me, that is essentially sort of the legacy that, as a chamber, we've been here since 1969, that I feel needs to be continued in whatever capacity that we can continue to serve
the people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Viewers, we want to thank you so much for joining us. And of course, you want to follow the Chamber at their website. Please reiterate the website.
So the Chamber's website is www.bvichamber.org. For those that have missed it, we rebranded last year, August. So the name is now just BVI Chamber of Commerce. So that's why that's like that. But if you do type in bviccha.org, it's going to redirect you.
Wonderful.
And our email is info@bvichamber.org. So, any questions they have. And even, I forgot to mention, one of the things that we're trying to also let persons know around is that when we talk about advocacy, this is something where we're acting on your behalf. So it's important, again, businesses reach out to us. You don't have to be a member of the Chamber. Let's say you're experiencing a challenge with something you're trying to get done, even internally. So it doesn't have to be, well, I'm having a trouble with my work permit. But it's something within your organization, let's say you're marketing. You can come into the office or call us and say, hey, I need to kind of talk to somebody about something. And if it's beyond us in the office, we have a network. That's what the chamber is for. So we can always make a referral and say, hey, this is the best person for you to talk to. And, direct them along those lines. So those are the things, again, that is all part of not just the events, not just the networking, but the advocacy is very important.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for your time. And viewers, we will see you later. Bye-bye.